Welcome to my Oulton Park race video from the 21st of September. It's 2 races and qualifying in one day. Let's get straight into qualifying. So I'm just showing my best lap here. Quite a lot of traffic in qualifying, to be honest. I think I had to wait for a clear lap, and even this one doesn't actually end up being clear. You can see an MK in the distance there that is not in the distance anymore, and yeah, I think catch one towards the end of the lap as well. Not hindered me too much there, but I've had to kind of get over again and actually dropped a gear for Ireland there, which isn't normal. I think it was just because, like I say, I was kind of offline and off rhythm a little bit. So yeah, very early in the morning qualifying this, 10 to 9, but there was a decent amount of grip on the track. Thought it might be a bit slippy, but luckily the MX-5s were out before us, so probably cleaned up any surface moisture. So obviously just trying to be really smooth with my inputs, but to be honest, the car in this race was on new tyres. I did scrub them in on the final session on Friday, but kind of a theme throughout the day was that I just didn't feel as comfortable on the new tyres as I did on the old ones on Friday, but I kind of stuck with them thinking get a few heat cycles in them and then maybe they'll come good. But I don't really think that the car was ever as good on the day where it mattered than it was on Friday, but just kind of decided to stick with it. Again, that's kind of, I've not really attacked that as hard as I normally would. I didn't want to catch it in the wrong position, and I mean, that's got to have cost a bit of time, but yeah, more or less a 44 flat on the GPS, but for whatever reason on the official timing it was a 44.3. So I've had this a few times now, and it's not ideal because you think you've done a really good lap, and it was good enough for pole, but only by a tenth. And I thought maybe a bit more. Anyway, straight into race one. So as you can see there, I actually bogged it a bit, but then dipped it quickly and got going again. I've got a completely new clutch cable setup, which is absolutely fantastic from Tim Gray Motorsport, but I'd not really done any practice starts, and I just wasn't well practiced with the bike point as it is at the moment. As the day went on, as you're seeing race 2, my start's way better. I fiddled with it a little bit to get the bike point in a bit more of a kind of natural position. But anyway, we're out in front. I think Clint didn't get a great start either, so it was a bit lucky there. But to be honest, dipping it and getting back, and spinning them up, it didn't really lose me any time anyway. So obviously the tyres are cold, don't make any silly mistakes. I think off the start Dan Clowes got, or Clues should I say, got Clint off the line, so I've got Dan Clues in the middle behind me, and Clint Newman in the work spire behind me in third. General theme of the day, the car seemed to be quite good early on cold tyres, and go off quite a lot towards the end, and it was a lot more consistent for a longer period of time on the older tyres on the Friday, but also there was quite a lot of red flags on Friday. It seemed to be like every 3 laps someone would lob it at the scenery, and even straight after a red flag on the outlap a few times people binned it, which is just ridiculous. But I'd be lying if I said I've not done the same myself before, but yeah, it just seemed to be constant. So actually looking back, maybe I didn't get a full race's worth of abuse on the tyres anyway to actually kind of evaluate that. I would say as well that potentially some balance issues with the car, and I did feel that on Friday, but the lap times were telling me that the car was fairly good, and sometimes you can change things when you know you're off the pace, but because I was on decent pace, even though I wasn't happy, I just thought, sod it, I'm going to leave it alone. Crystal ball stuff, maybe I could have fiddled with it and gone a bit faster, but you can always go slower, so I figured it wasn't worth it. So anyway, just pushing on, obviously getting a bit of heat into the tyres now. Trying not to make any kind of daft mistakes. The comforting thing here is obviously I've got track position, so I'm in control. So you can see there, like I'm waiting. I've actually ran offline a bit there, but I felt all day that I was kind of in transitions, waiting to get on the throttle, not completely confident in just getting off the brakes and on the throttle, and really, you know, feeling the car dig in. Just wasn't getting that from it. And if you've watched my Snetterton video, I kind of alluded to that Snetterton, and I made a change there that helped, but obviously Snetterton's completely flat, so the undulations have kind of brought that back at Oulton Park. There's particular cascades as well as having that issue. You can see there, like I'm not able to really stick it on the line, on the apex or on the line that I want to, and then get right back on the throttle. I've got this kind of no man's land in the middle of the corner where I'm not too comfortable. Something that I can work on anyway. So I think by this point I'd built a bit of a gap, and as you may have just seen there, SC bored out, so safety cars coming out. We've got an issue somewhere on track. Now, I'm not rushing around to pick up the safety car because I don't actually know where the issue is or whether the safety car's ready, and ultimately, you know, the pack will have dispersed, even though it's only been like 3.5 laps or whatever. You know, the pack will have dispersed a fair bit, so I'm trying to just control things and get everyone back in order. And it looks like the MK of Leon Morel has had an issue. I believe it was more of a component failure than anything else. It looked like he'd had a bad off at first, but I think it was more of a mechanical issue, but I shouldn't speculate on someone else's issues, but he's fine anyway, that's the main thing. So I've left all this in just so you get the full experience of what it's like. Not that it's particularly exciting. I mean, what you can really do at this point is just jog round. I'm not even really bothering kind of trying to keep heating the tyres at this point because it's fairly obvious that we could be waiting a while. So yeah, we've picked up the safety car here. Good thing about Oulton Park is obviously they've got, I mean, I love Oulton Park anyway, there's loads of good things about it, but they've got, you know, really good facilities, loads of marshals posts and flags and the digital signage and everything. So, you know, I was quickly alerted that there was a problem and was able to kind of contain it before we got to the safety car. Which, you know, as the lead car on track, you do have that responsibility. To you know, to make sure we don't all go racing round. Probably could have gone round a little bit quicker, but like I say, you don't know where it is or what the magnitude of it is. There could be stuff all across the track or whatever. You better off just slowing down as much as, well, not as much as possible, but a sensible amount. So yeah, it's a funny one. This, obviously, it's frustrating because I'd built a bit of a lead, and I think Dan was doing a good job of holding off Clint, and Clint was very quick this weekend. So that good start, and good start from Dan, obviously, as well, and it helped me build a bit of a gap. But I do think that the car was very, very good when it was cold, or when the tyres were cold, kind of building that grip early on. It's just, I say, towards the end of the race, both races got quite loose underneath me. So back to the scene of the crime, and just getting involved with trying to recover the car now, lifting it on because one of the wheels is folded around. So obviously, seeing that they're lifting the car on, and they'll then take it into kind of the infield somewhere, I'm expecting that we'll have to do one full lap, and then that'll probably be us back to a position where we can get going again. I've got to say this now. I might as well say this now just to fill the time. But the restarts were not good. It just seemed really poorly planned, and I got massive respect for all the officials, and I love Oulton Park and all the rest of it. But it was really unclear when we were supposed to go or anything. More so in race 2 than this one. But I'm getting green signboards and yellow flags and SC at the same time. The lights went out on the safety car, but there's still yellow flags all over the place, and it's just not really clear when I was supposed to go and when it was up to me to control it. In this one, the safety car dives in immediately after the last corner, whilst there's still yellow flags, and in the second race, the safety car bolts and gives me a gap, but there's still simultaneous like green and yellow flags, and I just thought it was ridiculous, to be honest. But you'll see that anyway. One thing you might notice though is my brake sensor is showing pressure. Now the brakes weren't holding on or anything, but I since found out, since I got the car home, that I had a bit of an airlock in the brake pressure sensor line. So I have 2 brake pressure sensor lines, front and rear. It just gives you an extra bit of data to overlay. To be honest, you kind of set the bias on the track anyway, but it's useful to see the kind of pressure is building and releasing kind of in a similar manner. If you've got kind of an uneasy feeling on entry and things like that, I've had it in the past where the rear's been spiking before the front, and it's because I've had like the push rod length set wrong and things like that. It's all useful information. But yeah, I'd neglected to bleed the dead legs to the sensors when I bled the brakes, and it must have cocked something up. So the pedal was a little bit longer than I'd normally like, but the brakes seemed okay. But after this race, I noticed on the data that it was showing a brake pressure all the time. But like I say, only on the sensor. They weren't actually dragging or anything. So yeah, the more information, the better. So the lights have gone out on the safety car there, but it's not. Maybe it's just my perception of the speed of the safety car, but it doesn't really. It's not like it's bolted. We could do with a faster safety car, really. But we're still showing safety car boards and flags there, and even there as we go under the fridge, and you know it's just not very good. But you know, so that didn't really give me any opportunity to kind of come up with anything crafty, or you know, at the end of the day, as far as I'm concerned, I should have some sort of advantage. I should be able to lead them round and go when I see fit, and that didn't happen there. That safety car could have gone around Druids, or as soon as we passed the scene of the accident, it could have gone. So whatever, it's by the by, and it didn't end up affecting the race, but it did bother me at the time. But anyway, again, you know, from taxiing round at 30 mile an hour or whatever to getting straight back on it, the car's feeling pretty good. And we just want to try and build that bit of a gap again, at least try and maximise the car's strength. Struggled a bit around there all weekend. I mean, when that bail's there, and it isn't always, you know, you want to look through the corner, but you kind of can't. You've got to have one eye on that. It doesn't help, and it doesn't take much because obviously you've come through these S's, and you know you're transitioning back, and then you're throwing it in again. It doesn't take much to upset the car when you're trying to accelerate hard up the hill. You know, you can easily slide or spin it out of there. That is an exit which just makes a huge difference if you get it right. You know, you can see the delta just dropping and dropping on your dash. See there, like I've got on it, and then I've had to kind of feather the throttle again because I'm just not confident in where the car's going to go on exit. Same around Island, you know, I used to do Island Bend a fair bit quicker than that. But there must be other areas where, you know, I haven't looked at all the data yet compared to old lap times that I've done, particularly on, you know, when we used to run the Yokohamas, which are quite a different tyre really to the Nankang in terms of their sidewall stiffness and what have you. I think that the strong areas of one are the weak areas of another, but overall they're not really much different. So yeah, just keeping going. I'm not pushing excessively. I'm kind of driving as fast as I feel like I need to maintain position and gap, I suppose. It's not a forgiving track this. If you come off, I mean, you ain't stopping the car on the grass at 100 mile an hour, and obviously all you've got between the track and the barrier is a bit of grass in most places at Oulton Park. So you know, I'm having to play it a bit safer than maybe some other people behind me that are just focused on going as fast as they can. Again, they're like, you know, I'm really not committing that much. Just watching this back now, there is definitely a lot of areas where I think could be improved. Not necessarily with my driving, it's more tailoring the setup to be able to drive the car the way that I would like to. I feel like I'm a bit 9/10 here. At least, you know, in the fast kind of corners where you're really throwing it in on entry, I'm not committing as well as I should be doing. One thing I should probably mention is that the car's obviously running nice now after a lot of the issues that I've had at the last two meetings, which were both triple headers. I lost quite a lot of points at those meetings with gearbox issues. So gearbox has had a full refresh and thrown back in. So for once, I've not missed a single gear or had a nasty shift or anything really all weekend, which is a joy to drive in comparison to how the cars had been. But like I said in my other video, that was my fault anyway. I should have rebuilt it sooner. But yeah, like strong finishes and reliability are the kind of aim of the game here. If we can win, great. Or, you know, get into crunch time of the championship, and then the main thing is not throwing away points unnecessarily. Because I've done enough of that already this season. The other thing I'm really trying hard not to do, and that is affecting the way I drive in terms of how hard I get on the throttle and what have you, is I really do not want to go on the green. You know, these MSV circuits, obviously they've got pressure pads all over the bloody place, and you know they have been quite hot on handing out track limits penalties, and so they should this year. And I don't want to give anyone any excuse for you know, giving me a penalty or anything like that, because you know, like I say, it would be my fault anyway. But like I say, it's just not worth it. I'd rather, you know, if I have to drive around at a more sensible pace and someone catches me up, it still doesn't mean that they're coming past. You know, we can have a battle, but at the same time, I'm at the point in the season where, you know, it doesn't have to be a win. It just needs to be a strong. You know, there need to be strong finishes. Obviously, everyone wants to win, and you want to win all the time. But you've got to kind of set your sights to the end game instead of, you know, just what's ahead of you in the next 10 minutes when it gets to this time at the end of the season. So just trying to keep it tidy and not, you know, not go on the green or the pressure pads anywhere. So that's the end of that one.
There's Sports
So,
1000
all in all,
and
a
Cop
good
200
race.
always providing the
Short
entertainment.
for the,
And we're going to take a chat with our winner, Ryan Yarrow. Ryan, you have pretty much one hand on the championship trophy now, almost there.
Yeah, anything can happen, can't it? But yeah, that was a good race. I mean, I don't know, when the safety car came out, I thought, oh, we can burn some time here. But then, yeah, kind of obviously lost my gap, and then it was. I had a plan. I thought, yeah, I'll get a bit of fair warning. But the yellow flags were waving into the last corner, and then he came in. I was like, oh, I'm not even in the right gear. Like, so yeah, luckily them two fighting kind of held Clint up, because Clint could smell blood and he was fast. But yeah, it's not easy leading. Obviously, if you've got someone to aim at, you can kind of hone in on them a bit. I was probably getting a bit distracted seeing the orange in my mirrors. So, but yeah, I'm happy with that. Yeah.
Absolutely, and obviously, Oulton Park is quite technical. It's quite undulating. There's quite a bit of elevation. How is it driving a Sports 1000 car around here?
It's very physical. Like, yeah, I mean, I get arm pump often, even though I'm like used to doing it and I've done karting and what have you. So, and yeah, you make one mistake in one corner and it just can kill your entire lap, because obviously every corner's got a bloody hill after it, or a short straight, and then it's really easy to push that little bit too hard, clout a curb, or so yeah, as I say, I'm trying to play it as safe as I can. I've had a few car issues this year, so I really just want to get through this weekend unscathed. But yeah.
Absolutely. Well, obviously, still one race later to go then, and obviously, fingers crossed, it goes all well for you.
Yeah, thank you. Cheers.
Thank you very much. I'll speak with Sackett.
Okay, so straight into the second race now. Much better start. Decent reaction time. Spun the wheels, but not too much. Controlled it on the throttle, and just really nice start. That probably one of the best I've done. And I think again, Clint didn't have a great one, so back to kind of same position as the first race, with Dan second and Clint third. So obviously I've got a bit of information now that like the car's good in the kind of early to mid stages, and having got that good start and got a bit of a gap, and Dan in between me and Clint probably had a bit more pace than me trying to get away, and that has not worked because there's a safety car board out again. Just see a load of dust settling at the bottom of Cascades there. An MK had gone into the side of one of the Sports 1000 cars, and obviously there's so much gravel down there, it'll be beach, so it'll need pulling out. So yeah, again we're stuck behind the safety car. So obviously at this point I'm thinking, well, that's a shame, because straight away I had quite a good bit of a gap. I don't know if it was much more than like a second and a half, something like that, but it was significant considering we'd only done a few corners. It was just a really good start, and a bit of squabbling behind that kind of just allowed me to bolt a little bit, but that's gone now. But it's good to have track position. But yeah, again, I'm thinking, what on earth is this safety car restart going to be like? Hopefully better than earlier in the day, but it wasn't. Just having a flick through the steering wheel there, look at the temps and oil pressure and stuff like that. Might as well, seeing as he got time to do it. I do try and do that through the race. I mean, I've got warnings and all at very sensible set points and stuff like that set up anyway, but it's nice to have a look at the figures now and then, just when you've got time. Right, so the safety car lights have gone out on the car, I mean, and it has started driving a bit more sprightly, but I've still got yellow flags and safety car boards. But I'm just thinking, well, based on the shambles they made of it in the first race, I should probably just get on with it. I'm going to get round here and see if the car's not in sight, because I don't want to catch it up, and then just go. But even when I get to the final corner, we're still showing yellow flags, and then I'm kind of gone, but then got concerned and backed out. Now, you can say this is my fault and should have just rolled with it, but I've got in trouble for less than this before, and I'm still like, what is going on? We've got yellow lights on the fucking start finish line, and a yellow flag there with a yellow light with a green flag underneath it, and it's just not great, really, isn't it? And you can't see there because I don't have a rear camera, but I nearly lost the lead to Dan because of that, and that would have put me in range of Clint, and I could have easily ended up second or third by the time we'd got to Cascades. Because the thing is, the clerks and what have you, obviously the judges of fact, and the fact is that if you watch the video, we're trying to gain speed, but they've still got yellows out. So apologise for swearing on the video, but it seemed appropriate. I couldn't think of another word to use. I just didn't get it. I don't know why it needs to be this difficult. All the facilities and everything to do it right, but whatever. Anyway, so I've got both Dan and Clint right up my chuff now. So yet again, any advantage that I had from doing a good job at the start and getting my head down was just totally gone. Not of my own doing, but that you got to put that behind you and just try and push on. Obviously that's quite frustrating, and it can rattle you a little bit, and I'd be lying if I said it didn't. And I mean, you can tell that even watching it back, it's frustrating, and they know what happened, and it didn't end up kind of affecting the race too much. But crunch time at the end of the season, you don't really need things like this becoming a factor. It's like I say, you've got to bear in mind that if I actually went at the wrong time there, and I got called up and got a penalty or a disqualification or something, it would blow the championship wide open. At the same time, if I didn't go, I'm going to get passed anyway. It should really be very, very clear cut. I should have been getting green flags really around Druids after the car had bolted, and that would be telling me that I'm controlling the pack, but whatever. What you can do is try and build a bit of a gap, and I think with Clint and Dan kind of back to squabbling again, I have built a bit of a lead. Unlike the first race, we only had one lap under the safety car, so I'm obviously pushing on because I'm expecting at some point Clint's going to mount an attack on Dan, and I'll be totally honest, Clint was faster than me today. I managed to get pole, but I was struggling to go any faster than that, and Clint found a bit of speed in the races, so all props to him for getting both fastest laps. You know, they're valuable points that, you know, would have been good to get. Yeah, he was ballistic, and I was dead impressed with his pace all day. As I say, it's a bit of a strange one. On Friday, I seemed to be able to do like low 44s at will, and then when I put the new tyres on, I couldn't. Maybe I should have put the old ones back on, but it's so counterintuitive that you know, I just wouldn't do that. But maybe I should have. But it's by the by, really. I think one of the things with kind of not the tyres, but just kind of setup wise as well, I'm struggling to be completely committed and precise. You know, you've seen some different lines, some apexes missed on corner entry and what have you. Just not very good, really. But you're sat in what you're sat in at this point, and as I say, sometimes it's better to leave it alone, and at least you know the limitations and what you're working with, rather than fiddling with setup in between races. It's not really the sensible thing to do unless you've got nothing to lose or everything to gain. I think there's a bit of crap on my camera, so I can't even really see what's in the mirrors, but I think, I'm not sure if Clint's behind me at this point or Dan, but I think we're coming close to the point where I did my fastest lap, but then my pace tailed off after that, and Clint came on strong. So towards the end of the race, I'm under a fair bit of pressure. He was not in striking distance, but he was getting there, like another lap, and then I've had to start thinking about driving a bit more defensively. And it's obviously quite difficult when you're struggling with the car as it is, and then you've got something in your mirrors that's getting bigger every lap or every corner. You know, desperately just trying to build some sort of gap. Yeah, so that was my best lap. So at this point, I had quite a decent lead, but it was also the same point where Clint got by Dan and started reeling me back in. Just balancing the throttle for such a long time there before actually driving the car hard. Definitely a lot of pace on the table if I can unlock it. And I'm watching this back and obviously thinking, well, Donington is of similar ilk in terms of undulations and things, so the next one being Donington, I'll probably do something for that. Whether it'll work or not, you know, I've got a good idea what I need to do. So that was a bit better. If I can just commit and get on the throttle to balance the rear out, but yeah, there was a few times when I got on the throttle and then the front washed out, which is really not a nice feeling, especially around Druids. It can go wrong so quickly there, but as it can in so many parts of the track. As you see, you know, having done one high 44, the next lap is a mid 45, which is just not consistent at all, not quick enough. And as I say, on Friday I was consistently faster than that. It's a little bit frustrating to watch, but you know, I'll probably always pick holes in whatever I'm watching, to be honest. The danger is as well, when you see someone catching you, your instinct is to push harder, and often when you push harder, that just exposes the car's weaknesses even more. You're kind of driving less smooth and a bit more ragged. I don't know if you can see that just kind of instability when I'm coming into the corners, just that kind of struggling to be completely precise. At least that was a low 45, but it's still not fast enough. In the end, it was fast enough, but the point I'm making is I should be going faster than that. More than capable of going faster than that, but for whatever reason, I'm just not able to do it at this point in the race. So the danger here is that you've got someone gaining and gaining on you. You can see him in the mirror there. So he's close enough. Don't want him any closer. You're then trying to maximise every corner, and it actually only takes one mistake, and he would have been on me or past me. So it's difficult. It's a difficult balance to strike between kind of being sensible but making sure that you don't give too much time away. And this is a combination of, obviously he's got on top of me pretty quickly. There's a combination of him being rapid and me struggling quite a lot. But it's kind of swings and roundabouts because of how I was able to get on it when the car was cold and get a good start and kind of build some time. The time that I've lost in the end, was crap. The time that I've lost in the end is kind of balanced out, and we're going to end up coming across the line about, I think it was less than half a second apart. To chasing me, Clint did get a 5-second time penalty, so he ended up third for track limits. But yeah, so in the end it was Dan second and Clint third. But yeah, Clint was the standout on pace all day, to be honest. And yeah, hope you enjoyed that. The interview next, and then that'll be me signing off for today. Cheers.
Thank you very much. Yes, I'm down here with Ryan. And Ryan, 2 for 2 today. It's been a fantastic day, and you're heading into the final round with a fair lead in the championship.
Yeah. I mean, it's still mathematically possible to throw it all away. So yeah, I'm not going to get ahead of myself. But yeah, I'm obviously pleased with how today's gone. I think I was lacking a bit of pace on Clint, kind of ultimate pace. The car just goes off massively towards the end. I'm sliding all over the place. And that seemed to be when he was coming on, so I was quite a lot of pressure, really. But all in all, yeah, pleased. With
Are you confident ahead of that final round?
Yeah. I don't love Donington, but it's one of them where you get to this point where you think, you know what, I can afford to actually play it safe and sit behind people if I have to. So I've done that before. If I have to do that, then I will. So yeah, reasonably.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations. It's been you couldn't have asked for a better day, really.
No. I mean, it was about to get exciting because everyone was saying it was going to rain, and I thought, do I want that or not? It'd be fun, but I'm glad it didn't. So yeah, good day.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you very much. And we'll speak to our